Citadel La Ferrière, known to the locals simply as the Citadel, is the largest fortress in the Americas, and Haitians call it the eighth wonder of the world. Built on the top of Mount Bonnet in Haiti, the Citadel lies 5 miles away from the town of Malo. It became a World Heritage Site in 1982, and the fortress was built from 1805 to 1820 by ex-slaves and Haitian workers. The aim of the fortress was to keep Haiti safe from attacks by the French. And this is the reason we're given for it being up on a mountain and being so massive. It served as a lookout so it could see over the ocean to see if any French ships were coming to attack. Of course, the attack never happened. As I said, the fortress is the largest in the Americas. Now, that's the largest old world built fort, not including, army bases, but it's the largest fort in the Americas, situated in Haiti, and the walls are 40 meters or 130 feet tall, and they are 13 feet thick. The fort covers an area of 10,000 square meters or 110,000 square feet. And it is said that the workers laid the foundations of the fortress directly onto the stone mountaintop. And to do this, they actually invented, apparently, a new glue. And this glue was made from quicklime, molasses, and the blood and hooves of cows that were boiled up to make a glue-like mortar. And this is what is said was used to make the fort stick to the mountaintop, and also made the fort more malleable and resistant to earthquakes. The fortress was commissioned in 1805 by Henry Christophe and completed just 15 years later in 1820, using the labour of 20,000 ex-slaves, though some articles I've read do say that they used workers as well. So whether they're all slaves or some were and some weren't, I'm not sure, but there is nowhere that I've found are there any mentions of stonemasons or of skilled workers of any kind. And the interesting thing about this fort, apart from being the largest and having this one-off glue mortar used, it is said that it was built from cannons and cannonballs. It says cannonballs were used to build the walls of the fortress, which could be able to withstand attacks. And of course, they say the glue as well basically made this fort impenetrable to attacks from cannons, but it actually never came under attack. It was never used, as far as I can tell, as a war fort for defense. And this is the site. This is worldatlas.com under Citadel La Ferrière Mountain Fortress. And it says architectural uniqueness. And this is where it says cannonballs were used to build the walls of the fortress, which could be able to withstand any attacks. And in this picture, we see down the bottom here, it looks like, they may be cannonballs, this, little wall. I'm not sure if that's bigger, we can see the top of it, but, I've had a good look at this fort and that's all I can see. So I've also had a search, for, cannonballs, built with cannonballs, and I haven't been able to find anything. Lots of talk of the cannonballs and the 50,000, cannonballs and all the cannons and everything, but nothing about it being built of cannonballs. So I'm not sure if that's real or not. It may have just been an overzealous, blogger, shall we say. But this is the only picture I can see here with the cannonballs in the foreground. And it says the Citadel is equipped with over 150 cannons. Most of these were captured in battle from the English, French, and Spanish, and thousands of cannonballs, once over 50,000 in total. With an armory and walls over 13 feet wide and 100 feet high, the fortress was impenetrable. And the 100,000 square feet building includes several cisterns and storehouses designed to provide enough food and water for the royal family and up to 5,000 people to survive an entire year under siege. And it says the cannons were never fired in combat. The citadel is much the same today as it was 200 years ago, as it never saw any battle of any kind. And in this citadel, we have drawbridges, cannon batteries, galleries, corridors, hidden passageways, blind corners, all designed to outwit invaders, or so they say. Most of the windows and ramparts overlook sheer drops down the flanks of Pic Laferriere or Laferriere, and beyond that offer spectacular views of the north of Haiti. And when we dig into this a bit further, we're told that this was built in 1805, 15 years to 1820. But when we look into the history of Haiti, there's a bit of a different story appears. There was a man called Jean-Jacques Dessalines. He was a leader of the Haitian Revolution and the first ruler of an independent Haiti. Under the 1805 Constitution, he ordered the 1804 Haiti massacre of the remaining white population of native French people. So under Dessalines, Haiti became the first country in the Americas to permanently abolish slavery. Initially regarded as Governor General, Dessalines was later named Emperor Jacques I of Haiti. And so, with the years at 1804, they're saying that this fort was built starting in 1805, and it was using ex-slaves. So he's abolished slavery basically right at that point in time. So I guess the question is, were these ex-slaves, or was this just the native population that had been enslaved by the French? And then they had a revolution, they freed themselves, and then they're saying, the story is that then they were ex-slaves, but they were just free people again. But, in that situation, again, are they going to be able to build this fort? Because, another thing, this is on top of a mountaintop, and 1805, what were they using? They didn't have cranes that were that big that could pull blocks up from the bottom of a mountain up to the top. And if we're talking about, people or horses or whatever dragging them up, that's a lot of stone. 100 feet walls, 13 feet thick, and it covers 10,000 square meters. It's a very, very large, we could actually work out, the volume of the walls on this. We've got all the dimensions. And so they don't explain these things. And this is my problem with all these forts. They just kind of say they built them, but they never tell you how, where all the rock came from, who cut it. Like I said, no stonemasons at all mentioned in this story. So the question is, was this built in 1805 by the ex-enslaved people of Haiti to stop the French coming back and attacking them? Or was this something that was already there that they found and utilized? Because this fort is not just a one-off, it's actually part of a defensive system across Haiti of forts and walls and different bits and pieces. And so it looks a lot like the remains of an old world civilization, and bits of it have been used. And of course, the one sitting up on the mountaintop is still completely there. It's not buried at all by anything, by the resets. Okay, so let's have a look at some photos of Fort I think it's pronounced Laferriere. So I'm going to say Laferriere just to change everything else I've said in the video. And these are a collection of photos that were taken in 1958 of Fort Laferriere. And this one I find very interesting because we have a very, what we're told is Greek, but, Phoenician as well, statue out here in Haiti. And again, remember that they're telling us that this fort was built by the Haitians. So what's this got to do with anything? And mask, right? So is this, I don't know, is this Janus or Janus? Two-Face, I don't know. They've got the mask down there. But pretty interesting, right? And I mean, huge and looking pretty old. I mean, they say this is So 1958, this would be, what, 138 years after it was constructed, so they say. I mean, this, and you'd have, you have to take into account it would have been occupied. It doesn't really say how long it was occupied. There's not really a lot of info on this fort or citadel, but you'd have to imagine it was occupied for at least 20 or 30, if not 50 years, right? Which then means it was only abandoned for like, what, 80 to 100 years, and it's in this disrepair. But they managed to build it on the top of a mountain with, this special glue that they used, right? This cow hoof glue. Here's another shot, and you can see all the cannonballs, all the cannons up here. And this narrative of the cannonballs, I can't find anything else on it apart from that one article, as I mentioned. So I think it was just, I don't think there's much to that. But you can look at, this fort as well. They said it never saw any combat, right? And look at these walls. Clearly, look at the top of them. It's all been smashed off. And then down here, we have this big pile of rubble. And, clearly the roof's gone off this. And, looking pretty shabby, really. I mean, what's this? I wonder what they're going to explain this as. It might be a roof support, I don't know. And again, you can see here the bricks, right? It's got this, the sort of Roman bricks, the skinny type bricks, almost like sort of slate kind of stuff as the doors and the lintels. But then this, it's not blockwork. It's like, I have to ask Paul Cook. He's a resident expert. It's more like some kind of pour, like a polymer with big, rocks in it, a lot of big aggregate. Now this is, okay, it's just a different angle to the one we saw last time. I mean, look how big these walls are too. Look how thick they are. Well, it's a full-on castle. Now this is what we're told castles were, right? These big walls, this is what they're showing, all the movies and shows about castles, these big walls that people run around, and built on the top of a mountain by ex-slaves, or so they say. You can see multi-leveled, intricate. It has to be really well designed, very well constructed, right? But of course, no craftsmen built this, no artisans were involved. I'm not sure what's going on up here. See, that looks like it's kind of protruding out a bit. Maybe something's fallen away, I don't know. But, it's just all perfect, right? I mean, look at the symmetry there. Look at even this little bit. Very cool stuff. And here's a close-up of that statue. As you can see, holding a mask. Looks like, I don't know if the nose has been taken off, but, a lot of these statues and noses get knocked off them. Looks like it just might be wear and tear on this one. Don't know what's happened to her cheek. Someone shot her. But again, right, what's this got to do with Haiti? And the story that we're told, it's got nothing to do with it. So what's it doing there? These doors, look at them, they're huge. And look how big the bits of timber are. Look at that. That's one cut of timber. I'm not sure what the height is, but it looks big, right? And these studs, you see this in a lot of the old doors, these metal studs through the wooden doors. So that could be an original old door. I mean, it's very thick. Looks like it's got 3 layers on it. And it just made, that could be, 500 years old, right? Because look at the wear on it. Who knows? Or it could be new, I don't know. This is just a shot of one of the paths again, just to show, the state of disrepair. And this is in the 50s, 1958. Completely overgrown, very, very old world looking. And just not what you would expect of, a fort that had been uninhabited for, say, 100 years, but was, built on a mountain with this special glue and could withstand earthquakes and was impenetrable. And, look at it. Definitely looks a lot older. Entrance to the old fort at Portobello. So this is near Portobello in Haiti. Pretty sure this is Lafayette. If it's not, it's very similar. I'll have to have a look. This definitely is. This is the guy who took all the photos. And I'm not sure what's going on here. Floating pyramid. Oh, okay, it's sitting on these legs at the back. It looks like, they've built a little, I don't know, a little altar. A bit weird. Clearly that's new. I don't know, so I don't know what's going on there. They've got the little cannon at the front here. Who knows? This is interesting. It looks like there's a little remnants of a drain or something in the ground there. And again, the rest of the fort just, I mean, look, it's just broken apart, disheveled, old, overgrown. Bits of the walls falling out. So it definitely looks a lot older than they're telling us. Here it is up on the hill, just sitting there, so they could do this, right? Look at the height of this wall. They could do this with unskilled labor, but it wasn't built well enough to, hold together for a couple of hundred years. And this is the path that they went up, guys. Look at this. Look at the rocks. So everything up here, they want us to believe everything up here was dragged up here by ex-slaves and unskilled laborers. Everything. That's a lot of material. What do you think? Is that even possible? Now, again, right, just crumbling. And so what's going on here? Because we've got these inner walls crumbling, but the outer walls are absolutely perfect, right? Like the actual structure's not falling apart. So, I mean, this might be some, different kind of construction, or maybe it's just got the plants growing in it and they're splitting it. I don't know. But definitely looking a lot older than they tell us. Here's another shot. Now, this one, again, is not from the collection. This is one of the oldest. This came up as the oldest shot, and I couldn't get a date on it. But this is the front of it, right? So you can see it's, from above, it's a star fort. But look, it's a palace, basically. It's an old palace on the top of a mountain. And this bit down in here, this arch, tunnel, right? This is what they say is where, what was his name? Christoph, his brother-in-law was buried. This is supposed to be what this is. So it's a massive chunk of the fort, and it just looks like an old tunnel, right, going somewhere else. So we don't know how much of this is under the ground as well. We've got remnants of walls here, over here. And this is what it looks like again, right? Completed 1820, 15 years to build it. And, I don't know what this is. It's earlier than the 1950s. I know that much. So it's probably around the 1920s or something. And look at the state of it, right? Like sitting there for what, 70, 80 years maybe, unused. And this is the state of it. So again, nothing they tell us fits the narrative. This, again, this is another one. I think this is a drawing and I don't have a date on it, but this is one of the oldest sort of ones I could find. Just showing, just basically the size of it, built perfectly, but looking old already overgrown. And back to the photos, here's this weird altar, so God knows what was going on there, right? Aluminum confirmed. All these different levels, doorways, completely symmetrical. Look at, everything equidistant. Built by slaves. Is that doorway up there going into what looks like a rock? Don't know. Here's the doors again, and again, these bricks, right? And this is what I also noticed is, we've got layers of these bricks, we've got them around the doors, but then they're in the walls as well. Different sort of, we've seen this one. So you can see this is brick down here, but up here, they can't really see it. I'll have to get a better picture. This is remnants that are out, on the side of the mountain. Basically just showing us that this was a much bigger construction than what they're telling us. And I'm not sure if this is some kind of aqueduct or if it's the remains of a building, but I mean, it's not in very good shape, isn't it? We've seen that one, and that's the last picture. So I'll just see if I can see these brick lines. Can't really see them. You can see all the lintels are brick, all around the windows are brick, the thin sort of what they call Roman brick. And the rest just, is this sort of rock conglomerate, right? stuck together. Well, you know, clearly, right, they say it's stuck together with this glue mortar and I guess just rocks. So basically, you know, like a geopolymer like poured, but with really big aggregate in it. So there you go. That's the last picture. October 1958, Haiti, the ruins of Fort Lafayette. So let's go and have a bit of a look at this Citadel Lafayette on Google Earth. Okay, and here we are over Haiti. So this is Haiti, as you can see, in the Caribbean or the Caribbean, if you like. And we'll come down, and this is La Ferrière, that's what I'm calling it, Citadel. And as you can see, in a very, you know, mountainous part of the country. And this is it. As you can see, it's a very large structure. Very reminiscent of the star forts that we see with these angles, you know, these funny angles coming off it. It's clearly half buried at the front here. And this massive, so this path, you know, with the story we're given, everything to build this would have had to been brought up this path, because there's no way they had cranes big enough to, you know, drop down to the bottom of this mountain. You know, they'd be pushing it in 1805 to get to the bottom of a 100-foot wall, I would think, you know, with a wooden, you know, wouldn't be what we call a crane. And then these big blocks. So this is the question is, you know, how did they build this? You know, who built it? Where did all the stuff come from? They just give us these, you know, stories. Oh, it was built. It was just built. So let's go and have a look, a bit of a closer look, shall we? So here we are inside the Citadel. And, you know, straight away we see all these features that we see everywhere on the old world construction. These, you know, brick curved lintels that we see on the arched windows everywhere. This looks like it's made out of, I'm not sure, rocks. It doesn't look like big blocks, does it? Maybe it was poured, some kind of geopolymer with a fill in it, I'm not sure. Here are some of the cannons, and of course the story is all these cannons were captured from ships or something, I guess ships. They're all captured and brought up here and then never used. I mean, look at them, they're just laying on the ground. I'm still not sure, oh, hello, what cannons are for. And as you can see, they're pretty large. So this is a big structure, you know, built, you know, perfectly too, right? Look at everything. It's all, you know, that great old world construction we see, you know, they've put these bricks in and you can see that's almost falling apart already. But built by, you know, ex-slaves, as they call them, you know, some, like I said, some articles do call them workers. So let's see if there's another spot. All right, so oh, wow, look at the view. So this is the kind of territory, the kind of country that they'll, you know, would have had to bring everything over to get this fort built. As you can see, just, you know, very intricate, very well done, multi-levels everywhere. You know, the same kind of stuff we see everywhere. Cannons, look at these floors, man, aren't they cool? So I see it's got all these, you know, these rock sort of inlays everywhere. It looks like it's in like a cement or a geopolymer, so I'm not sure if that's, you know, it looks original, doesn't it? Not really sure, you know, but yeah, it's on the walls, looks original. Is this, okay, so these are red bricks. See these layers of, or courses of red bricks? Yeah, I mean, look at this place. Pretty cool. But I think that's the only two viewing points. But I think that's the only two viewing points that they give us. Let's see if we can maybe get down. Okay, let's get down the track. Have a look up. All right, so, oh, look at the track as well. It's made out of the same stuff as the fort by the looks of it. And so we can't really see where it's joined to the mountains. That could be some of it. But look at this corner, red brick. But in courses, see, it's got like course, then it's filled, courses, filled course, all the way up. Very interesting. And of course, look at the size of this thing. That's just one wall, right? This thing's huge. And like I said, able to house 5,000 people for a year. Hello. You know, so how did they get this built in 15 years by ex-slaves, unskilled workers? Oh, look at that. I don't know what that is. By unskilled workers, right? Up on a mountaintop with, no cranes or anything. Look at this. We don't see any evidence of quarries or anything around here. I'm not saying that they're not there, but just a quick look, because you can imagine, look at the size of this, right? Like if we zoom back out, I know there's words all over it, but you can still see that on the top of the mountains, which means it's a huge structure. So the amount of material that we've needed, we would see the whole. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's had 200 years. I don't know, right? But there's no mention. This is the thing in the narrative. There's no mention of where the stone came from, who cut it, who shaped it, how they got it up there. Just nothing. And like I said, there is a few different sort of strategic points. Like they call this a defense system. And we are in Haiti, and there are other forts out here. As we can see here, we have a star, a perfect star. Right? So that a star fort, and I mean, it's kind of on top of a mountain. It's not on the ground anyway. So here's a star, and we see these everywhere, all over the realm, this exact shape. So how do they explain that? And here's another star fort, right? One of these, another irregular shaped one. I mean, I'm sure that's flat, but it looks like it's sliding off the mountain. And again, this, I could show you, this is very similar to what I call the rocket ships. And it may have been, they normally have a bit at the top, but, like they kind of look a bit like a rocket ship. And you see these all over the realm as well, things very, very similar. So this is the question. Was this built in 1805, in 15 years, by ex-slaves? And of course, they say it was built with these cannonballs, right? These cannonballs, but I haven't been able to find a lot on that. They say there's lots of cannons there, and there's cannonballs. Now that may be them. Whoops, down here. There's stacks of cannonballs, but I can't see them in the walls. There is a small defensive wall at the front that has some in it, but like I said, I can't find much on that either. Built from cannonballs, with the glue of cows, apparently. So there you go. What do you think? Old world structure or built by slaves over a 15-year period in the early 1800s? Let me know in the comments. Hope you enjoyed that one. Please give me a like, subscribe, share this around, and hit the bell for notifications. And I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.
Remember, in the end, nobody wins unless everybody wins.